Hi, welcome back. You're probably wondering what in the world is going on with my hair, but I just curled it and I want the front and I want it to be like big and blown out, so I'm going to brush out the curls when I'm done, and then I want these front curls to be very like voluminous. So I rolled them up. I don't have actual hair curlers, but you don't really need them if you take your curls while they're still warm and you just kind of roll them up and then pin them down. You can get the same effect as a hair curler, so, or roller, I should say. So that's what I did. Anyway, but it all plays in for today's makeup look. So this past week, like I'm sure a lot of you did, I watched the Victoria's Secret fashion show and I was totally obsessed. Everyone looked so beautiful and amazing and I was really just speechless. But it inspired me to try to recreate the makeup looks on the models. And I've seen a lot of people doing this like on TikTok and stuff, and I thought it was such a cute idea. So I am going to do my version of the Victoria's Secret fashion show makeup today. So let's get into it. To start out, it's all about complexion. Their skin looked so flawless, so hydrated and glowy. It was just amazing. So I'm gonna go in with my skin prep first, starting out with moisturizer, and I'm using the Bubble Power Wave moisturizer. I've been testing this out recently and I really like it. It is really thick. This one specifically is for dry skin, so that's exactly what I have and it's been working great. It's very light, but also very hydrating. So I'm just putting that all over. And then I'm gonna go in with some under eye cream as well, and I'm just using this one from Good Molecules, which is normally what I use, but my under eyes are so dull all the time, so just adding a little bit of hydration to plump them up. And for primer over top of that skincare that I did, I'm using the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer. It's in the hydrating version. That's what it looks like. So I'm just gonna take a little bit and put that all over my face just to make my skin as hydrated as possible. And I feel like their faces weren't glowy, but they weren't like anything crazy, but they just looked so healthy and so hydrated. I don't even know how to explain it. It was just amazing. I'm sure a lot of them have pretty great skin naturally, but yeah, everything just looked so perfect. Alright, once the primer is on, I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. Mine is in the shade 4 Medium. This is my summer shade, so I'm sure it's going to be a little darker than I want, but it's fine. So I'm just putting that all over my face. And then I'm going to take the Refi Beauty brush and just lightly buff that into my skin. That is my first layer, but next thing I'm going to do is go in with some concealer, and I'm using the LA Girl Pro Conceal for this part. And I'm just going to put that on my blemishes that I have on my face. So any red spots, I'm just lightly going in with some concealer. And I'm going to spot conceal before I do anything else. Alright, and then I'm just going to buff this out really lightly with a concealer brush. But I don't know where mine is at. I found it. This is what the brush looks like. I'm just going to lightly go in and buff that out. Alright, and then after that is all blended out, I'm going to go back in with the Flawless filter and just do a really thin layer all over my face again, just to make sure that everything blends and looks as flawless as possible. So I'm using a lot less than I did the first time, but just going in with another thin layer and blending it out with that same brush all over my face. After that layer of the Flawless filter again, I'm going to do my makeup a little bit out of order than I normally do. Now I'm going to go in with some cream bronzer slash contour, and I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick in the shade Light Medium. I'm just going in with a little bit of this first. I'm taking it on this brush because mine's broken, and I'm just putting that on my face all over where I normally would contour, but I'm really focusing it on the high points of my face because I want my face to look very lifted and very snatched. So I'm putting it higher up than I normally would. Also doing some on my eyelids and on my nose. Once I have that on, I'm using the e.l.f. Duo Complexion Brush. I'm taking the big side first, and I'm just going to start blending that out on my face. Just keeping it really light, but I want my cheekbones to look very chiseled and snatched because I feel like all those models had like the best bone structure in the world, so I'm going to use makeup to give me that same effect. Alright, and then I'm going to take the smaller side and use that to blend out the nose and bring that up into my eye. And then I'm going to take the big side again and just buff out that little bit of contour that I put on the outer corner of my eye, bringing that up towards my temple to blend it all together. After that, I'm moving into concealer now. First thing I'm going to do though is put on my under eye brightener from Palladio. Just using my finger and putting it on the very inner corner of my eye where it's the most like discolored, I guess you could say. And I'm just going to lightly blend that out. I'm not really going to put any on my eyelid because I already put the bronzer there, but I'm just going to blend it around my eye with my finger. And then anything else, I'll take that same concealer brush and just kind of buff it out to make sure it blends. But I'm going to be really light-handed with my concealer today. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty concealer mixed with some of this LA Girl Pro Conceal. But I literally just want to use the concealer as a tool to highlight my face, so I don't want it to be too dramatic or cakey. So I'm just putting a really small amount on these areas of my face. And then I'm just going to take that really light color and add a little bit to all the other spots just to make this a better color match for my skin. But I only need the smallest amount. And to blend that out, I'm using that same concealer brush. I just feel like this helps me get my concealer more precise and it blends it out the best. Sometimes with a sponge it's really big, so it kind of spreads it around the face, and I don't want that for this look. I want to keep this very concentrated in the areas that I place the concealer. I don't know if any of you watched the Victoria's Secret fashion show, but if you did, I want to know who your favorites were. I thought everyone looked so good, but I always love Gigi and Bella Hadid. I just think they're so beautiful. And Bella looked amazing as always, so I loved watching them, but I don't know. There were so many people and they all looked so amazing. But yeah, let me know who your favorites were and if you like watching the fashion show and who you always look forward to seeing, because I'm really curious. But I love watching all the like TikToks and stuff about it and like Instagram reels now and watching the clips back, because honestly it was just chef's kiss. It was so good. This is my favorite part now, the blush, and I think I'm going to use 2 different blushes, but to start I'm going to use this Rare Beauty blush in the shade Bliss. Just a really pretty light pink color, kind of like a mauve pink, but I'm going to use some of that, and I'm really focusing this on the high points of my face. I don't want it to be too dramatic, but I definitely want my cheeks to look pink. So taking this brush and I'm going to lightly blend that out, keep it very focused on the highest part of my cheekbones to make my face look as lifted as possible. And I'm going to add a little bit to my nose as well. And then as I blend it, I'm just going to slightly bring it down to this part of my cheeks, but I want it mainly focused up here. The Rare Beauty blush was kind of the base of this look, but now I'm going to go in with this Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil. This is in the shade Pinch Me Pink. It's just a really pretty, true pinky color, and I love it. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, not too much, and just kind of go over that with this, just to make the blush pop a little bit. Still focusing it up here, but adding a little bit to this part of my cheeks. Now, going back to the contour, I'm going to go in with the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. That's what it looks like, and I'm going to put that all over my face where I put my contour or cream bronzer earlier. And I really just feel like this blends everything together really flawlessly and just makes my face look extra snatched. I'm also going to put that on my jawline as well to contour that a little bit. But this is just like one final thing that I feel like brings the blush and the bronzer all together. And it's honestly like the perfect product, and it blends so smoothly. This is one of my holy grail products, one of my favorite things that I own, if I'm being honest. And then I am going to put just a little bit on the nose as well. I feel like I want to add a little bit more blush, so I'm going in with that same Makeup by Mario blush. I'm just adding a little bit more. Another reason I like this is because it's very dewy on the skin. So I like the finish of it, and I feel like it's perfect for this look to make my skin look as hydrated as possible. I am going to go in with just a little bit of setting powder, using my normal Milk Makeup setting powder. I don't even know if this exists anymore, but it's one of the only powders that I've found that doesn't dry my face out like crazy, so that's why I use it. I'm sure there's probably a lot more on the market these days, but I'm just sticking with what I know until that runs out, and then I'll test out other ones. But taking about that much powder, and I'm just going to set my under eyes. It's kind of a lot more than I wanted. And I'm going to set pretty much everywhere where I put that concealer a little bit ago. Maybe some on my forehead too. It's looking a little shiny. But just lightly setting all of my makeup. I don't usually dip back in. What I put on the brush or on the pad initially is pretty much what I use for my whole face, since I don't want to dry it out too much. I am going to go in with just a bit of powder bronzer, but I do want it to be kind of shimmery. So what I'm going to do is take my powder bronzer, which is an Essence bronzer. The top just fell off. It's the Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder. And I'm going to mix it with some of this highlighter, which is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. This isn't super crazy, so since it's subtle, if I mix it with the bronzer, it kind of just gives like a perfect glow without being too much. So I'm just lightly putting that on my face. I don't want to be too bronzed, but I do want to make sure that I have some color. Just putting that on like that. Just adds a little shimmer. But now I'm going to go in with powder blush as well. And the powder blush that I'm using is this one from Milani. It's the Luminoso Baked Powder Blush. And that's what it looks like. It's so pretty. And I'm going to take a really small brush because I don't want this to get all over my face. So I'm taking this small e.l.f. like stippling brush. And I'm going to put that on and just lightly tap that all over my cheeks. This blush kind of does have a lot of fallout, so just be aware, but it's really pretty, so it's worth it. Now moving on to eyes, which I'm also super excited about. I feel like everybody had a very pretty yet subtle, like shimmery pink eye look, or like, I don't know, some sort of shimmery eye look, and it just looked so good. So that's what I'm going for today. I did already kind of use the bronzer as a base for my eye shadow look, but I'm also going to go in with a little bit of brown shadow just to really kind of set that in place. So I'm going to take my Makeup by Mario palette, and I'm using this color right here. And no, actually I'm going to use that one on the end. And I'm just going to put that all over my eyelid. Just really lightly buff that all over. Nothing too crazy. Being very light-handed with it, but it's just creating a very even base. Alright, and then from there, I feel like all the eye looks were very, like, I don't know, icy, pinky. So I'm going to take this, like, white color too, right there, and go over the eyeshadow with that too. And kind of that brown and white will be my base. I don't want my eyelids to be straight white, so that's why I didn't go in with this right away. But I'm mixing it with that light brown. And I feel like the two colors together give my eyes some depth, but also that really light color. I have the base of the eyeshadow done, so now what I'm going to do is go in with like a little winged moment. I feel like a lot of people had some sort of like black wing, but it was very subtle and kind of smoked out, so that's what I'm going to try to go for. As you know, I never do black eyeliner, so we'll see how this goes. I am going to use eyeshadow because I do still want it to be kind of smoky, but also black. So I'm going to use this black eyeshadow in the Makeup by Mario palette with a flat brush, and I want this to be a really short wing too. I don't want it to be very long, so I'm going to kind of do from this outer part of my eye lid and then just do a very short wing. So let's see. Okay, so that's as long as I want it to be. I need to blend that out a little bit, but I'm gonna do it on the other side now. I feel like that's even too dramatic for me these days, but it'll come together. Okay, I feel like this one looks a lot better. It's less dark. But I think that's just because I didn't dip back into the eyeshadow. So this one's darker because I had more product on the brush, but I'll blend this side out just a little bit. Now that that's on, I'm going to take this brush right here and then kind of smudge that eyeshadow that's on like my eyelid. Just to smoke that out a little bit, and then that way, because the line isn't super precise, it kind of just makes it not matter as much. It's blended out, so lightly blending that. Now what I'm going to do is take a little bit more of this white eyeshadow and just kind of put that on my eyelid, just to kind of clean up any of the black that got smudged anywhere else. Now for my favorite part of the eye looks is the shimmer. This was the part that I thought just looked so good on everyone. It reminded me of, I don't know if any of you had the Naked, I think it was a Naked 3 palette, but it was like all the like pinky rosy colors. I used to have that. I don't know what happened to it. It's probably at my parents' house somewhere, but honestly all the eye looks were reminding me of that palette. I feel like it came like straight out of that palette from back in like 2015 or 16, whenever it came out and whenever it was like huge back when I was in high school. That's what this reminded me of. So I really wish that I had that right now, but I don't. So I'm going to try to make this work with other eyeshadows that I have. I honestly don't have a ton of like pink shimmery eyeshadows because, as you know, I always am wearing like neutral brown looks, but I have a few that I think might work. So what I'm going to try first is, I have this Jaclyn Hill palette. I know she doesn't make makeup anymore, but I just feel like this could be really good with this eye look. So it's this color right here, which is called French Silk. It's just like a really pretty light pink. It's like kind of like a goldish pink color. So I'm going to try using my finger. So first I'm going to put that on my finger and just start putting that all over my eyelid. Oh, I think that looks pretty actually. So I'm just kind of pack that on both sides. I like how that's looking, but I feel like it's not coming off as very pink. So what I'm going to do is, in this palette, the Ace Beauty palette, in Scarlet Dust, I'm going to take this shade in Maui, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on my eyelids as well, just kind of in the center to bring out the pink. Can't tell if that's showing up very good, but alright, now what I'm going to do, I feel like it showed up really good on that eye. I'm going to take a brush, a fluffy brush like this, and I'm just going to blend those colors all together without trying to blend out my eyeliner. Before moving on to mascara, I'm just going to slightly fill in my eyebrows, just kind of on the ends here, just to fill in like any bare spots, but nothing too crazy. And then I'm going to take the gel that I usually always use, which is NYX the Brow Glue, and then just run that through there. I want my eyebrows to be like, to go out, not down, because I want my face to look as lifted as possible. Before I go in with mascara, I'm going to do one final thing, which is highlighter. And I'm using the Fenty Beauty highlighter today in the Freestyle Highlighter Duo. This is the Kilowatt shade. And I'm using this little light pink. That would have looked really pretty on the eyes too. I should have used that. But anyway, I'm going to use this side right here. And I'm going to mix a little bit. But I'm going to put that on the really high points of my cheeks, just to make them pop a lot. And then above my brow bone, and then on my nose as well. And then I'm going to take a smaller, this is like a, I don't know, compact brush. And I'm going to take some of that and put that on the inner corner of my eye, just to make that really pop. And then also on my brow bone. Right, for mascara, I'm not going to go in with thick eyelashes. I'm sure that that would probably look much better, but I, one, don't have any, and two, have not put them on in a long time. So I feel like it would be a disaster if I tried today. So what I'm going to do is take my eyelash curler and just really curl my lashes good. And now I'm just going to take my black e.l.f. lash and roll and really just pack that on my eyelashes to make them look as long as possible. But also try to be really careful and not get any on my lids or my skin, because I always do that, but I don't want to mess up this look. And I'm going to get my bottom lashes as well. But again, trying to be very careful. And I already got a little bit on my eyelid, but I'll get it off. Last up, we have lips, and for lips today, I want them to be a really pretty, like, shimmery pink lip, but very subtle. So I'm going to take this NYX lip liner in the shade Nude Pink and overline my lips with that. And then I'm just going to kind of fill my lips in just a little bit. Kind of blend that out with my finger. And then over top of that, I'm taking the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lipstick and just lightly putting that on, kind of focusing it more in the center. And again, I'm going to blend it out with my finger. And then I feel like they all had very like shimmery pink lips. I don't have any super shimmery lip gloss, I don't think. Let me look. Okay, I found this super old ColourPop lip gloss, which is really shimmery, but it kind of has like a brownish tint to it. So I don't know how this is going to look, but let's give it a try. This is really old, like really old. So I'm just going to start by adding a little bit in the middle. Oh, that's actually pretty. It is really sparkly though. I don't know if I would reach for this often, but for this look, it gives what I'm going for. Alright. I don't know where I got this, or how long ago I got it, but it's pretty old. Alright, don't ask me where I got this lip gloss because I do not remember, but it's doing what we need it to do today. And one final thing before I end this video, which is so like 2016, I am going to take a little bit of my highlighter. I'm going to take the really sparkly one and I'm going to put that above my upper lip, just to give it that extra glow. I used to take like a fan brush like this and go like that and put that all over my upper lip. My face used to be so highlighted, but that was really in back then. Alright, and that completes this Victoria's Secret fashion show makeup look. I'm going to take down my little hair, my bangs, see how those are looking to bring it all together. And the clip is stuck in my hair. Okay. There we go. That looks much better now that that's taken out. Probably gonna touch up the rest of my curls and brush them out, but that's at least good for the front. I'll probably tease this area a little bit too, but that's a start for the hair, I guess. Alright, so yeah, that completes this makeup look. I hope that you liked it. I tried my best to recreate what I saw, which was very glowy, hydrated base, pink blush, pink eyes, pink lips, and I don't know, it just all looked so good. Everyone looks so beautiful, and I really like this makeup actually. It's really giving. I normally would not do a pink eyeshadow, but I guess the makeup artists there know what they're doing because this looks really good. So I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!